Your childhood movies may have shown you the beauty of saddling up your stallion and riding off into the sunset. However, they never showed the effort it takes to properly turn the free beast into rideable livestock. That is why on this episode of No Gameplay Just Tutorial, we will learn how to tame beefalos. Beefalo taming is determined by following 3 stats. Domestication, the progress towards the ultimate goal of beefalo taming. Obedience, which decides if the player could saddle up and ride the beefalo. And Tendancy, which gives beefalo a distinctive feature when taming it. Note that all these are closely related, as any actions you take will most likely affect all 3 at once. Above all, beefalo taming starts once you feed the animal for the very first time. Don't bother feeding anything valuable since all stats will start at 0 no matter what, so a single grass will do just fine to take away its freedom and grant you one soon-to-be very tedious task. Let's start with how to domesticate a beefalo. Well, either ride your beefalo or have its hunger point above 0 at all time, and you will earn a bit of domestication points every 10 seconds. Easy, right? Just gotta do that for 20 days. And of course, if you don't meet those requirements, you will lose domestication points, making the whole process even longer. Ah, what a painfully long process that questions your virtual responsibility. To maintain beefalo with full stomach, one must know its biology. A beefalo has a total of 375 hunger points, and spends 300 points every day. So this half pig, half cow, and partially Sasquatch must eat 64 grass, 32 twigs, 8 fistful of jam, or 4 dragon pies. Although not the most accurate indication, note that beefalo ask for food once its hunger falls down to 45%. So ideally, you could just start the day by feeding it 2 or 3 dragon pies or 4 to 6 fistful of jam, which is much cheaper alternative. Then go about riding the beefalo for the rest of the day while feeding it a twig or 2 whenever it throws you off. Still, keeping beefalo fed or ridden at all time could prove challenging given this is a survival game, not beefalo taming simulator. And that's where the salt lick comes in. Salt lick prevents any loss of domestication points if you happen to be too busy to either feed or ride your beefalo. A single beefalo can use a salt lick for 15 days and could be parked nearby so it won't follow you around. Just be careful where you build it, since salt lick attracts any other beefalos, koalefants, and volt goats nearby, and it will lose durability really fast. Now, brush is a tool that will add large amounts of domestication points. It could be used once a day, and if used every day since the beginning, it could shorten the whole domestication process into 15 days, provided of course you always fed and rode the beefalo during that time. So what makes you lose domestication points? Obviously, when they are either unfed or left idle, but there's a lot more than that. It's alright when the mobs attack the beefalo, but if you attack your beefalo, congratulations, you just added extra 6 days on your domestication process, and now your cow is going to kill you. Overfeeding is also bad, which happens when the beefalo is fed more than its 375 hunger points. So pay attention, because beefalo will fart at 300 hunger points, and that's when you can stop feeding him, especially Mexican. The longer you've domesticated the beefalo, the longer you can ride it. Starting from 15 seconds, the riding time goes all the way up to 4 minutes until full domestication. Once domesticated, however, you can ride that cow for solid 13 minutes. Hell yeah! When domestication is complete, a little magical flash will turn the beefalo's appearance. And then, keeping it becomes extremely easy. If salt lick's available, you may not even need to feed the beefalo except when you venture out. Now the beefalo became yours forever. Well, at least until it dies in the most idiotic way. But remember, the domestication still decays if your cow is left to starve without salt lick or physically abused by the owner. And if it falls back to 0, you will lose everything. And that's all about domestication. Everything clear? No? Great, moving on. Now let's talk about obedience. Obedience simply dictates whether or not you could saddle or ride the beefalo. On a scale to 0 to 100%, you can saddle and ride the beefalo above 50% obedience. Under 50%, the beefalo will keep the saddle but won't let you get on its back. Any mounted saddle will be shaken off when below 40%, and trying to saddle it when below 10% is a bad idea. Feeding the beefalo is the easiest way to gain obedience. Any food item adds 10% obedience, no matter what it is, so keep some grass and twigs in stock. Brushing will give 40% obedience, but this is available only once a day. Technically, you can use it more than once, but only effective on the first time. So the game's being a tease, and you're just wasting your item's durability. All pretty simple, right? But don't worry, it's even easier to lose obedience. 1% of obedience is lost every 10 seconds, and overfeeding means minus another 30%. That's why feeding it loads of dragon pie is not always the best option, as beefalo can only eat 5 at most. Getting attacked by mob will deduct only 0.01% obedience, but attacking or shaving your beefalo will instantly put obedience down to 0. Yup, animal abuse is not cool. Except on pigs, no one cares about pigs. Obedience does not affect the riding time itself. Even when it falls below 50% while you ride the beefalo, your cow will not throw you off until the actual timer runs out. However, once thrown off, you will have to bring the obedience back up to get back on the saddle. Good news is, fully domesticated beefalos have what is called minimum obedience. The percentage differs by the beefalo's tendency, which we will soon discuss, but they all exceed over 40%, meaning they will never shake off their saddles. Furthermore, those with minimum obedience over 50% will let you ride anytime you want without even need to feeding it. You can even punch him in the face or shave its head off. Forget about the last part. And finally, tendency. Depending on how you tamed your beefalo, it can be fully domesticated into one of these 4 different tendencies: ornery, rider, pudgy, and default. Getting your beefalo to either attack or get hit time to time will get you the ornery. So go around getting your cow stung by bees or kill some butterflies with it. Either way, you'll look ridiculous. Constantly feeding your beefalo over 50% of its hunger points or overfeeding it will give you the pudgy. You better have a lot of food for this one. Keep riding your beefalo and you'll get the rider. Simple as that. If you somehow manage to balance all these 3 tendencies, default is what you'll get. Also means you really didn't give a damn about your cow. Even before full domestication, their tendency will show on their face. That's how you'll know which tendency you are headed for. Now, before explaining each tendencies in detail, I must say this is the only part where you will have to know how this really works, and the math behind it. Yes, this is going to be as painful to me as to you, so bear with me. Every time you get a beefalo to either attack or be attacked, it gains 0.04 ornery points. Likewise, keeping beefalo bloated or ridden for 10 seconds will each grant 0.04 pudgy and rider points. In order to actually have the tendency show up on the beefalo's face, you must require 0.1 tendency points. Meaning if you want a ornery beefalo, you need to have it either attack or be attacked 25 times. However, another condition is that the value of the tendency you desire should be greater than the sum of other 2. In other words, even when you have the ornery point over 0.1, if the sum of the rider and the pudgy tendency point is greater than that, you won't get the ornery beefalo. Alright, for those of you who are not Asian or with less than average intelligence like me, just keep an eye on the beefalo's face, because once domestication is complete, you'll get stuck with that tendency forever until either beefalo dies or you'll lose the ownership for being a crappy owner. So, let's talk about tendencies, their benefits and characteristics. Starting off with ornery, this guy can deal 50 damage, thus suitable for hunting various creatures, depending on how brave you are. However, ornery has 45% minimum obedience, meaning you will have to feed or brush the animal every now and then to get on the saddle. Personally, rider is the easiest and the best tendency to come by. Although it deals only 25 damage, its speed value is 8, double that of Wilson's walking speed and fastest of all beefalo types. Pudgy is the slowest beefalo type and can deal least damage of 20 points. It gives out 6.25 sanity per minute, equal to that of Tam O'Shanter, the Walrus Hat, or Glomer. So more or less useless in my opinion, just a fat cow that wasted your food for the worst reward. Default Beefalo has the exact trait of a regular Beefalo. It deals 34 damage with speed value of 7. It's simply a tame Beefalo without any perks, but without any disadvantages either. Anyway, those were all 3 factors you must consider when taming the Beefalo. And to summarize it, taming Beefalo is the act of maintaining its obedience while balancing out for the desirable tendencies in the long process of domestication. But wait, there's still more to know. If you're still awake, that is. Whatever you do, never shave your Beefalo. Not only you are the worst hairdresser in the world, but shaving will decrease the riding time drastically. It acts as 0.2 multiplier, meaning even fully domesticated Beefalo with 800 seconds of riding time will only take you on for 160 seconds. A Beefalo that isn't yet domesticated will still go in heat and attack you without Beefalo hat. Like shaving, it will reduce riding time to 20%, so expect to get thrown off often during spring. If you don't like getting thrown off, you could always get off then jump back on. It will reset the riding timer and will prevent you from being thrown off at the worst possible moments. If Beefalo has only 20% of health point left, the bottom screen will turn red. Fortunately, Beefalo heals around 7 points every 10 seconds, and these guys benefit 4 times the usual health bonuses from any food items. So it's lovely how it becomes your meat shield whenever you engage in combat. But remember that any mobs that shoot projectiles will shoot directly towards you, not the Beefalo. Now let's have a look at the items related to Beefalo taming. All these could be found in the tool tab, and you'll need an alchemy engine to craft them. Starting with common saddle, it will act as 1.4 speed multiplier. Pretty easy to craft, but has only 5 uses, meaning it will break after shaking off Beefalo 5 times. War Saddle adds 16 extra damage and multiply Beefalo's speed by 1.25. Crafting one could be quite the challenge as you will need 4 steel wools that are dropped by Yukas. Alright, tutorials aside guys, I hate these animals so much. Still, it has 8 uses and could prove highly effective when combined with the ordinary Beefalo. Glossamer Saddle acts as 1.5 speed multiplier and has 8 uses, so it's a slightly better version of common saddle. But crafting one is ridiculously time consuming as it requires 68 bloody butterfly wings. Honestly, it's not worth it. The item simply reflects game developers' sixth sense of humor. Since a saddle loses durability whenever shaken up, a saddle horn could be useful, especially if you cannot maintain the obedience level throughout the entire domestication process. It allows you to manually pry off the saddle, and the ingredients are quite cheap with durability of 10 uses. As shown before, the brush proves to be extremely useful for both domestication and obedience. You'll require a steel wool and a walrus tusk, which are not that easy to come by. I hate Yukas. But it has 100 durability, enough to domesticate 6 Beefalos at most. So definitely a worthwhile item. And that is all there is, at least all I know about Beefalo taming. If you have anything to add, question, or correct, do not hesitate to comment down below. I will most likely ignore them. Before I end this video, I want to credit DarkXero, who wrote the most accurate explanation on the Beefalo taming. Majority of the information in this video is based on this person's work, so those who wish to know exactly what they are doing, whole logic, data script, and the math behind Beefalo taming, make sure to check it out. I'll leave the link. Anyway, leave like, subscribe, whatever, and see you in the next video. Cheers!